What's going on, guys? Good evening. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well as you can do after yesterday's result, of course. It's another edition of the Full View, kind of full view, fullish view. We've got a couple of absences this evening, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to bring you all the Manchester United chatter, discussion, conversations, debate, you name it. We've got plenty to get into this evening. We've got, obviously, the thoughts after yesterday. We've got, not is it time to panic, but is it time not to panic and still be realistic? We're going to talk a little bit about Erik ten Hag holding meetings today. We're going to talk about Erik ten Hag telling Manchester United, don't give anyone contracts until I say so. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Cristiano Ronaldo. Has he been disrespected? Martial positives, Varane injury updates. There's plenty to get into. So big up to the panel joining me this evening, joined by Mina, Marcel, and Faz. Appreciate you joining me tonight. Mina, I will start with you. How are you feeling after yesterday? We didn't get your view after the game. How are you feeling?
There was a reason why you didn't get my view after the game. I didn't really have much to say, to be honest. A lot of people have been talking about the game. They were talking about it yesterday, today. I deleted it from my memory. That first half performance, I'm going to get into the whole match, but specifically that first half performance was a disgraceful performance, specifically from the players. I don't have anything bad to say about Ten Hag. Like, I have faith in him and I believe in him. It's only his 7th, 8th game, having about a month off, and then coming back to probably what is the biggest fixture, City away, a team who greatly coached, great team. They have a monster up front in the form of Haaland. I expected the team to come out with some grit. I expected the team to kind of bring out a performance and compete, but the first half was absolutely embarrassing to watch. There was so many disasters. That yellow card that Dalot picked up in the first minute and a half, I think, set the tone for the whole game, because he was quite hesitant to he was letting Foden run at him, Haaland, De Bruyne, so many different players, and he was hesitant to put a foot in just in case he probably could have got sent off. So that was one big thing that I think kind of set the tone for the game. We struggled whenever we had possession. We just struggled to keep possession. We struggled to play a consistent number of passes to each other. I don't know what it is with the forwards, whether it's Sancho, Anthony scored. And I remember just before that, I tweeted saying, I forgot Anthony was playing, because, again, he played in a game where, aside from his goal, I don't even remember him being on the pitch. And that was mainly in like the second half, where he started to make an individual impact. One big thing that I saw is when we did have the ball, players they just don't, like, I don't know what it is, they don't understand each other. No one's making the best off-ball runs, which as a result ends up in us getting pressed and panicking and losing possession. And we saw it specifically with Jadon Sancho, where if he just played the right pass, it could have been a counter-attack. All in all, I think Ten Hag came out with a plan. The players didn't execute the plan, very much looking like how we played against Brentford. Similar issue that we had when we played against Brentford, but it's very much on to the next one. I'm not going to dwell on it. There was some little bright spots, Tony Martial coming on, scoring 2 goals, showing why we kind of need a goalsman up front.
No, I agree. Big up I Am Me is the latest member of the UV Members Club. Appreciate you joining us. You can also join I Am Me, not me, I Am Me, in the UV Members Club by clicking the link in the video description. You get badges, you get your emojis, your exclusive members-only content. And remember as well, you can vote for us in the Football Content Awards. Links are in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. Voting closes in 6 days' time, October the 9th. Don't know how many times you can vote. We're up for awards in 3 categories. So if you want to vote for us a million times and make us win, do it, please. You can do so. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comments in the live chat as well. And also, I saw this from AB saying, oh, what happened to Statman Cam and Tactical View? There is no Tactical View this week, purely logistical reasons, because some people actually aren't in the country or available this week. And Cam would have been on this evening, but he's got training because he's a Statman Cam. He's a manager. So don't worry about Cam. He will be back. Marcel, bring me some positivity, please. We put on the thumbnail, don't panic. I've seen a lot of reaction today, on social media. I've seen a lot of people maybe getting concerned or worried about, this is the second time this season where we've been 4-0 down at half time, but it's still Manchester City. They're a team that are 6 years into their manager, Pep Guardiola, being in charge. Obviously, Ten Hag's been in charge for a couple of months. So do we still have to be realistic with where we are at the moment?
Yes, 100%. I mean, I agree with Mina. Draw a line on this one, guys. This one, they're class above us, and that showed in massive amounts. We've got a few more games coming up: Everton, Newcastle, and Spurs, all at home. So I think we struggled away from home this game. We just have to kind of knuckle down now and try and improve on this kind of performance. This was absolutely embarrassing, and the players were nervous. You could see that from minute one. They were nervous. The fullbacks in particular, I think both ended up getting yellow cards in 23 minutes. 20 minutes into the game, and Malacia and Delo the first few minutes of the game carded. An onslaught. I can't remember how many times I imagine seeing, Man City players in our box, filling up our box, interchanging positions, getting runs on both of our 6 and our 8. Players not tracking players properly. We're not pressing properly from the front. I think players were just a bit nervous in this fixture. And you're going to get loads of those kind of games. I think Ten Hag has tried to be a bit more pragmatic after the Brighton and Brentford games in terms of playing his complete style of football. He doesn't have all the players for that, the goalkeeper, a few centre-backs and stuff like that. But there's just this was going to happen. Yes, we had been playing good results up until this point, and the defense had looked good, to be honest with you guys. I think the defense had looked good up until this point. It's just, I can't put my finger on it, what it is right now. And it's beyond, like Mina saying, it's beyond the manager. It's the board, it's the structure. We need better players than what we're going to compete with City. That City right now, Owen, we need at least another 11, 12 players of good quality. So I'm not worried about it now. I'm looking forward to this month. This month's a good month for our club. Lots of the games are going to be at home, and lots of the games are winnable games. And that gets us into maybe 17 games of the season, halfway through the season. So it's imperative that these players fix up, like Mina was saying, get this out your head. This was not going to... It is important to win in a certain way, Owen. But at the same time, we wasn't going to, I don't think... It would have been nice to get something out of this. And I really did believe that we would. But you got to just get this out your head now. Focus about these next 3 home games and the Europa League game and try and build on that.
I think also as well, isn't it, is that even to your point, it would have been nice to get something out of it. I think it's just the manner of the defeat, which is the most disappointing aspect. If we'd have lost, but you'd have gone, I tell you what, we did all right. We put in a bit of a shift. It's the fact that it's 4-0 down at halftime. At one point, it was 6-1. It's 6-3 and it flatters us because we did not deserve to score 3 goals with that performance yesterday. I think that's the concerning thing. But 24 hours on, you do look at it and go a little bit, it is one game. Is it going to define our season? Probably not. Ultimately, last time we had a result that was similar to this, like Brentford, we reacted really well. And it's in the title. It's now about how are we going to react? What's our mentality going to be like? What decisions are Ten Hag going to make? Super chat from CeeLo says, hey, Faz, Haaland's still not your cup of tea. What exactly are you drinking, bro? LOL. Big up the UV panel. Faz, how are you feeling after yesterday? How do the words taste when it comes to Haaland?
I was drinking Ten Hag ball. I was drinking Lisandro Martinez ball. And now I have to sit here and say I was wrong. I was wrong. Skynet is real. Skynet is in full effect. And I thought we have an answer to stop Skynet, and we don't. This guy was absolutely brought on earth to do a job, and this guy does what he does. Yesterday, I saw him in real life, and now I have realized what this guy actually is. I don't even want to call him a guy because I think he's just a machine. He's not human. Like I say, I refer to him as Skynet.
A lot of people, Faz, saying pause. Did you say you were wrong?
Yeah. I was wrong on.
Holy crap! Is that the real Faz?
I was wrong on Skynet. I was wrong. I thought Lisandro Martinez can stop him. I thought McTominay, I thought Ten Hag, I thought our guys manager could do something to stop him and keep him quiet with De Bruyne as well, who's obviously the number 1 player on that pitch, who made everything happen. But I was wrong, man. I had, but what I'm not gonna say is, I said it on my post-match as well. For my belief, for my passion, for my desire to win, and my utmost faith, guess what? I'm not apologizing. And next time we play Man City in Old Trafford, I'll probably be still the same because I'm not a stat man. I'm not a tactician. I'm not a pundit. I'm Faz, and I'm a football fan. That's what I am, and I will always be that. So whenever we play any top 4, top 6 team, I will always have the same chest. I will never ever put my head down in front of any of these big six.
There's a difference
teams,
between
ever.
having chest, though, isn't there? Having chest and saying that Haaland wasn't your cup
Yeah,
of tea.
but Owen, you know, it's derby. It's derby, Owen. You have to kind of get in your
you
feelings.
can back your team. You can back your team whilst also saying Erling Haaland's good.
Okay, but that's my personality, Owen. That's who I am. I'm sorry. In 5 years' time, I'll still be the same. I've always been like this. It's just me. So you all, either you're with it or you're gonna see me getting humbled. Or if we beat them, you're gonna see me go even more crazy. But that's just how I am, right? But he's Skynet blew me. Yeah, that's Skynet blew me out the park, man. It was real. I saw there was one time the ball rolling out of bounds, and every player, 22 players on the pitch, everyone gave up on that ball, and this Skynet guy went full pelt. Marcel knows he went full pelt trying to keep that ball in play. And when I saw that, I thought this guy is not human. He was specifically made to follow commands, and that's what he does.
There was a picture of Marcel. I forget who posted. It might have been you, Mina, that posted it.
I was watching it on the motorway and I just died of laughter. I couldn't stop laughing, but they got him good on Sky.
The Sky camera pans to the away end, and Marcel's there, arms folded. Would you have a hat on as well? A hat on like that, frowning face. He was not happy.
I changed my hat for the interview. I changed my hat so people would recognize me. I took my I was hoping, but yeah.
Tremendous. A couple of super chats here. Red Baron says KG late. KG, I don't even know if KG's in the country. He's been on holiday recently. Everyone's jetted off. I think he's due back maybe today. So I don't know what's going on, KG. And Game Fanatic says, respect Faz though. Haaland kicked your chest. Kicked you in your chest. Sorry. Well, look, Faz has admitted. He's admitted he was wrong. And look,
don't worry. Every dog has its day, and we'll have ours.
Yeah, Haaland's had a lot of them. To be fair, recently, the fact that
ridiculous.
he's like, was he like 12 goals away from the total of last season?
He has more hat tricks in the Premier League than Ronaldo, Vardy, Van Nistelrooy. How? Can someone explain how?
Because that's what he does. We were trying to tell you that's what Haaland does. Scores goals. Yeah. That's literally what he does. Mina, today, according to James Ducker of the Telegraph, Erik ten Hag was going to have a meeting with his squad, with his coaching staff, and he encouraged people to be free to criticize each other. Said, look, say what you want. What do you think they would say in that meeting?
I wish I was a fly on that wall. I swear, I would love to see how. I don't think players would rip into each other simply because I think, you need to keep the idea of the togetherness. I don't think that the team is crumbling like how we saw towards the end of Ollie's time as a manager. But definitely questions will be raised. I think people will be questioning the forward three. Why can't they string passes together? Why can't they make runs? Why can't the midfield keep possession? Even Eriksen, yesterday we saw Eriksen struggling to even make a difference. Scott McTominay, the wing backs, even the defenders, even David De Gea. I think it was Haaland's second goal. I think it's when De Bruyne played a ball outside of the foot towards the back post and Haaland just got on the end of it. A normal keeper probably would have come off his line a lot quicker than De Gea did. De Gea didn't even get. He just does this thing where he's always startled. He's always glued to his line, and it's like he's shocked to see the ball go past him and go towards the back post. I think a lot of players will be questioning him too. People will be questioning Bruno Fernandes, which I think every player has. I think one thing that we need is accountability, and in a game like against Man City, conceding 6 goals in any game is not acceptable. And it's not acceptable just because we played one of the best teams in the world and the best team currently in the league. I think accountability is a big thing. And if players are holding each other accountable and they can admit their faults as well as holding one another accountable, then clearly something good will come from that dialogue. And I think that's the kind of harmonization that Erik ten Hag is trying to create in the dressing room.
Super chat here from Red Baron says, were we really expecting to beat City? They have a foundation structure, Pep being there for 5 years, everything, top 4 at most for us. I mean, speaking for myself, because that's the only person I can speak for, I don't know if I was expecting us to beat City, but we have in the Etihad in the past. Our record actually going into it was pretty decent. 3 out of the last 5, we'd won games there on the counter-attack. So I don't know if I was expecting us to beat City, but I expected an effort. I think that's the best way of putting it. I expected some kind of determination, some kind of aggression, because... And that hadn't come out of nowhere. That's because we had seen that. We saw it against Liverpool and Arsenal. We saw aggression. We saw belief. As Ten Hag said after the game, we didn't see that. So maybe didn't expect a result, but expected more than what we saw. Ed Woodwards in the chat as well says hashtag Martial FC with cigars out. 21 scored a banger too. We'll talk about Martial in a second, actually. And Billy Jones says, as a City fan, I'm shocked your team didn't play Casemiro. He was great against us in the Champions League. Nevertheless, your team makes players worse. We are going to talk about Casemiro later on as well. Marcel, there was a story today as well saying that Erik ten Hag has told Manchester United's hierarchy not to hand out new contracts until he has determined who warrants them. They also say, quotes, he's still in that phase of let's see how people are, let's see what they're up to, how they adjust, how they handle pressure, how they handle not being picked, how they deal with different challenges. He wants to move away from the previous culture at Manchester United and is keen to ensure players do not fall into comfort zones and that any new contracts are hard won. Is that feasible at Manchester United? How long does it take to change that culture, do you think?
Oh well, I was saying buckle in from since the beginning of pre-season. This is not. You don't want to say right off season. I've said it with Flex before. I wouldn't say right off the season. I think I mentioned it against Leicester post match. But this is a season where we're learning so much things about these players, about the team, and it's not even been 10 games yet. But we're seeing now we've had maybe like 3 big games, 2 of them at home, 1 of them away. The comfortability of these players right now is at the home. Before we were struggling last season at home. Right now, against top teams, we're playing well at home, but away, we're not playing so well. Brentford away, City away. So we're understanding a bit about the players, whether they're spineless, whether they're, different types of characteristics of certain players. Malacia has done well against Salah, but then, against Foden, look lost. In the state, all of the players, quite frankly, at City, they look lost. They didn't look comfortable. They didn't look confident in their style of play or what their manager wants them to do. So we're learning a bit about the players, and at times they're going to revolt back to type, how they've been under Ralph, how they've been under Oli last season. So we're understanding things early doors, guys, early doors. And to build a culture, I think that's easily going to be by the end of this season, where he gets another round to go into the market for big signings. He's still got how many managers of players does he have, Owen, still? He still has a few Mourinho players, still has a few Ole players. So we're work in progress at this moment. And it's going to take time. I do like the fact that he, having players have meetings together and speak about certain things. And he wants to he's most probably doing that because he's not going to sign on De Gea. So, and the board most probably like De Gea. Rashford still has points to prove. Ronaldo, I think the board would keep Ronaldo if they wanted to. But, he needs that power. Ten Hag needs the power and the ability to make full decisions within this club, because that's when he's going to be able to impose his culture or his system, his style of football within a bit of a shorter time than the time that I'm saying, or maybe even shorter than that. But this is a work in process, step by step, and we just have to get this out of our head now. And this is it's a massive test of character for Thursday, and then even bigger on Sunday, because Everton are playing well right now.
Marcel turned into a Dalek halfway through that bit there. The Wi-Fi was going a bit in and out, but I think we got the most of it. We got the gist of it. Faz, you've been pretty outspoken at points about people not getting contracts or people not deserving to get contracts, right? Is that music to your ears when you hear Ten Hag saying to the Manchester United people above him, don't give out any contracts until I say so? These guys have got to earn it first.
Absolutely. I'm so happy when I saw that. I think that's brightened up my day quite a bit. You remember when Bruno got his contract and you guys asked me, and I was sat, I think, around here on the sofa and said, oh, does Bruno deserve the contract? I just said no. And then you asked me again, I said no. And then we all started laughing. Nobody deserves any contract. Doesn't matter who. Every single player has to prove that they want to be there, has to show that they can be there, they deserve to be there. So nobody should be given any contract or any reassurance about a contract. So I'm very happy with Ten Hag for doing that. Very, very happy.
Let's get to a couple of these super chats here. Game Fanatic says, Mina, sorry, you're wrong about the goal. David De Gea not at fault. Look up Kevin De Bruyne and the corridor of uncertainty video. He crosses there often.
I'm not saying David De Gea is not at fault. Let me just clarify something, because maybe that was misunderstood. I'm not saying David De Gea is at fault. I'm just saying that he could have read the ball a bit better and come off his line. You can see he's a lot more towards the left his left hand side of the post, and Haaland is literally at the back post. If he had just literally tucked out a bit more, he could have maybe blocked the shot. He's always static. Like, nobody can argue the fact that he's not static on his line. He does not move on his line. I've even seen some arguments saying that a competent goalkeeper might have actually tried to come out and catch that ball before it actually gets to Haaland's foot. It went past 3 United players before it got to Haaland, that ball. So I'm just saying, if the keeper maybe had a bit more energy in the back, you never know what could have happened.
Yeah, but the same
but
thing,
again, can I just
the
say,
same thing
sorry,
people
Faz,
say about keepers, about Sanchez had a mistake as well, and Sanchez is one of the keepers who comes off his line, so can go both ways.
My point is that when it came to the dialogue and players having stuff to say to each other, with Erik ten Hag giving them the opportunity, players might have been pointing that out. There's a lot of errors from the back line all the way to the front that players would have been nitpicking at. That's just one example that I'm giving. I'm not, at no point have I said David De Gea is at fault for all 6 goals that we conceded, but 1 or 2 could have been a difference.
I think as well, for that goal in particular, I think if you trace it back further, Jack Grealish is allowed to run essentially the entire pitch. I mean, we didn't get close to him yesterday. For a guy that's actually struggled at City, I think he had his best game from, like you mentioned that earlier on, Dalot gets booked after 90 seconds, and he had Dalot on toast that entire game. It wasn't just Grealish, it was all of them. But I think a lot of the goals, to your point though, I do think a lot of the goals, while City played really, really well, you could look at a lot of them and say defensively, United were shocking.
We just
really, really poor.
It was sat back and we let them run it. And I think that's why one question, like the midfield, we let them literally run us ragged in the middle of the pitch. And when you sit back so much and you're not on the front foot, you don't press, it's only a matter of time before they're literally threading through you like a needle in a string. And that's exactly what they did.
Troy's back. Troy was on a madness this morning. I don't know if you saw this. Troy's back. I thought Marcel was positive. Troy telling me when we were like 2-3-0 down yesterday, we were going to win the league. And he's back. He says, we are winning the league, but this manager can't continue to cost us like this. It was all his fault. Terrible tactics. This is all on Ten Hag. Don't let him off the hook. Owen, mate, please stop being apologetic for Ten Hag.
Well, no, we're not. No, thank you very much for the contribution, but please, thank you very much for the contribution. It's always love, but no, man, no, don't come for Ten Hag. This is exactly what we do with managers. Managers get kicked out, players keep on staying in this club, and we're in a spiral of apparently rebuilding. No, man, we're protecting Ten Hag. Give him his time. Give him his time, and a lot of time as well. Stay with him right to the end, and to the end, I don't know when the end is, but stay with him, man. Don't just start coming for Ten Hag, because all in people are waiting for these days.
Troy responds and says, nothing to do with playing away. Terrible Ten Hag tactics, City and Brentford. Stop covering for him. Relax, guys. Stop hyperventilating. He said it in caps, which is ironic. Stop hyperventilating. We are winning the league. We're winning the league, according to Troy. Troy's on a madness. He really is. He was on it this morning as well. Appreciate the contribution, Troy. All about opinions. That's what it's all about here. I do want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo briefly, because everyone's been talking about him today on social media. Of course, Roy Keane said his piece. Of course, didn't come on yesterday in the Manchester derby. When asked after the game why he didn't bring Ronaldo on, Erik ten Hag said, quotes, I wouldn't bring him in because of out of respect for Cristiano, for his big career. And the other thing was the advantage I could bring on Anthony Martial. He needs the minutes, but I don't want to point it out like that. Now, Roy Keane was not happy whatsoever. I've got the full transcript in front of me. I'll read it because it's worth repeating. He said on Sky Sports after the game, quote, I think United are just showing disrespect to Ronaldo. He should have been let go before the end of the transfer window. The manager said he's holding on to him. Okay, you need options, but you don't keep hold of Ronaldo to sit on the bench. He's one of the greatest players ever. This idea he had no options, that's rubbish. He had options. He had 4 or 5 good options. The manager brought on Martial, who scored 2. But generally speaking, the bigger picture, he's not going to play Ronaldo. We've seen him play a few European games. It's just going to get uglier as the season goes on. He said, okay, Ronaldo's motivated with the World Cup coming up, but if he's sitting on the bench for United week in, week out, it's not good. It's just going to get ugly. I think United have showed nothing but disrespect to Ronaldo. They should have let him go when he had the chance to go. He had options. I know that for a fact. Holding on to him to sit on the bench is ridiculous for a player of his stature. Could he have brought him on? Of course he could have. So what if you're 4-0 down? You look at his goal record, it's as good as anyone for putting the ball in the back of the net. People are obsessed with the pressing side of the game, but you put the ball in the right areas, he'll score goals. What do you think, Faz? have United showed Ronaldo disrespect? Did you see it as disrespect when Ronaldo didn't come on yesterday?
Ten Hag made the perfect call in not bringing on Ronaldo. Absolutely perfect decision. I'm fully behind that decision because you know how much I love Ronaldo. Everybody knows how much I love Ronaldo. But in this particular game, it makes absolute sense because if Bruno was making those rash and awkward passes and Ronaldo wasn't running for them and looking at Bruno thinking, what are you doing? People would have come for him even more then. People would have, if Ronaldo wasn't pressing Ake and Akanji when they were walking into that midfield, people would have come for Ronaldo even more then. So absolutely, I'm with my manager for keeping Ronaldo in the bench. Ronaldo's job in Manchester United is to be that bench player. End of discussion. Ronaldo's job is not to be a starter. He cannot be a starter. He cannot perform, and he couldn't keep Morata quiet in Spain against Spain. He can't. He's given us the goals last season. Thank you very much. But it is now a new season. It is a new season with a new manager and a new direction, and that's what it is. And he qualities, abilities, and his age definitely is a big factor. And I've swallowed it and I've accepted it, and so must everyone else.
Marcel, what did you think? Do you think it's? Do you agree with Faz? Do you think that Ten Hag was right not to bring on Ronaldo? Of course, he said in the press conference he did it out of respect for Ronaldo, but also in addition to that, it's because Martial hadn't played in nearly 2 months, and he thought we're 4-0 down, or whatever the score was at that point of time. I want to get some minutes into his legs. The goals, I guess, were somewhat of a bonus. What do you think? Have United shown disrespect to Ronaldo?
No, I think it was justified, especially when it's not a bonus. It's you made the right call. A few minutes later, 2 goals pop up from the man that you just put on the pitch. So you've done the right thing. And in terms of attributes and abilities, at 38, you're just not the same player. It's just that simple. So it's clear as day. He's not the player for the job. I mean, he was meant to be gone this season, this summer. We were saying that he should have left this summer. But we were also saying that if he stays, he's going to be professional. And that's what I'm expecting from him. I'm expecting from him to be professional. He's got a World Cup to look forward to, like we were saying, and he will try and contribute when he can. I don't think it's disrespect at all. It's the manager. The manager runs the club, not Ronaldo. So once we understand that, we have to, criticize and critique the manager's decisions. He had other forwards that he could have selected from at the time out of Martial and Ronaldo, and he picked Martial, and Martial scored the 2 goals. It's simple maths for me. So, hopefully next game Ronaldo will be able to contribute, whether that's in Cyprus or Everton.
What do you think of Roy Keane's comments, Mina? I mean, I found it personally, I tweeted this day, I find it a bit odd, this discussion about Ronaldo, because what is wild about him, and I understand it comes with the territory, he's Cristiano Ronaldo, he's one of the most recognized footballers or people on the planet, right? And it's just crazy to me. If he plays and he doesn't score, or if he plays, all they're going to talk about is Ronaldo. He doesn't score, he's finished. If he comes on as a sub, doesn't affect the game. He's finished. Why are you bringing him on for? He doesn't come on as a sub. Why aren't you bringing him on as a sub? The conversation's always about him somehow. And I guess trying to read between the lines, was Roy Keane trying to imply that it's Ronaldo, so he has to come on? Like, what did you think of Roy Keane's comments?
If I'm being honest, I'm tired. I'm tired of the Ronaldo conversations. I was tired about it in the summers during the transfer window. A part of me was actually hoping that he would have left simply so that these conversations just stop. And it's because it's Ronaldo and it's because of his footballing legacy and what he's done in football. But for the main conversation after getting thrashed 6-3 to be why didn't Ronaldo come on is quite ridiculous to me. Like, it's actually quite ridiculous. Ronaldo wasn't going to come on and score 6 goals, and I'm not here to take away from Martial scoring 2, but Martial, good on him. He came on, he scored a tap in and a very good penalty. Ronaldo probably would have put that penalty away as well, but to come away from a 6-3 loss and all we can talk about is why was Ronaldo not playing, it's quite ridiculous. Roy Keane, I assume that, and a lot of pundits do this who are ex-Manchester United footballers, they do defend ex-players that they may have had a relationship with quite often. We saw it with Oli when he was manager, these same pundits were defending him and never once criticised him. And when we lost to Brighton and Brentford, these same pundits were very quick to criticise Erik ten Hag in his second game of the season. So I'm not taking anything they say with a pinch of salt. If Ronaldo had come on and he scored a goal or two, great. It wouldn't have changed the scoreline. Same way I'm not sitting here praising Marcel for scoring 2 goals, because that did it. It just made the scoreline look a lot less horrid than what it actually was. But really and truly, Ronaldo, I'm not going to say, I don't think his career is done. Is his career finished at Manchester United? Yes. I don't think he will be starting for us that often if Martial and Rashford stay fit. Ronaldo in his prime, Rashford and Martial would never have touched him, but he's not in his prime anymore. Like Marcel said, he's got a World Cup to prepare for. He will get playing time here and there occasionally. Bearing in mind, this is someone who missed pre-season as well. And I'm not questioning his match fitness, but just keep that in mind. He's a player who missed the entire pre-season whilst his agent was there trying to sell him off to any club that would pretty much listen. Those same clubs coming out and saying, yeah, as great of a player he is, we're not interested because, he doesn't fit into our sporting project or whatever. Please, can we just stop having these Ronaldo discussions? Like, I'm borderline tired of it at this point.
It's true. I mean, I legitimately, I didn't think coming out of yesterday's game, I was so pissed off with how we played and how badly we played. I really didn't think Ronaldo was going to get brought up. I understand that he does anyway, but I thought it'd be more on, I tell you what, we played rubbish, we played terrible. But today, I log on to Twitter, and maybe it's just because my timeline, but all I just kept seeing was this Ronaldo discussion. And again, the way I look at it is that Ten Hag had a choice. When the game was over, we'd lost by that point. No matter what subs we made, we'd lost. And he thought, well, I'll bring on Martial because he hasn't played for 6 weeks and we're going to need him in October. I'd prefer him to be ready. He happened to score 2 goals. It's a bonus because he was just looking at minutes by that point. And Ronaldo wouldn't have changed the game. Ronaldo wouldn't, maybe he would have scored. I don't know. But maybe it would have got worse. I don't know. But there was no real reason to bring him on at that point, And if it was like when we were playing Arsenal, if you're sort of 2-1 up and you maybe want to still spring it on the counter-attack or change the game, affect the game, that's different. But it wasn't that situation. Faz, the issue is with the Ronaldo stuff, when you bring up, to your point, Ten Hag made the right decision in bringing on Martial over Ronaldo. You get the follow-up question, which is, so what you're saying, Anthony Martial is better than Cristiano Ronaldo, or he's achieved more in his career than Cristiano Ronaldo. How dare you say that? What would your response be to those people that would say that kind of thing?
Keep pushing your narrative. It doesn't matter. You can play that narrative in your head 155 times if you want, but it doesn't change the fact that Ten Hag made the right decision. It doesn't change the fact that Ronaldo against Spain didn't do anything. It doesn't change the fact that Ronaldo had clear-cut opportunities in previous Europa game and didn't do anything. It doesn't change the fact that Ronaldo had 90 minutes at the start of the season and he was quiet. It doesn't change the fact that Ronaldo is 38 years old and his time is done in Manchester United. So play that narrative 155 times, but you all know me, how I am. I keep it straight up and it hurts when I inject it into you, but it's in front of you. It is fully in front of you. Martial can give you what Ten Hag wants, and I'm the biggest critic of Martial. But can Ronaldo? No. If that tap-in came to Ronaldo, he would have probably needed 75 touches to put the ball cold stop on the ground and then put it in the back of the net. No, he will.
He would have finished it. He would have finished it.
This is the point, Faz. This is when people start getting crazy because Cristiano Ronaldo can still tap the ball into an empty net from 2 yards. He can still do that.
I've seen many games recently in this season where proper chance, Ronaldo can't put it in. He's having to take two extra touches. He's having to do X, Y, Z. He's not fast enough. I mean, was it Bella Kotchap or something against Southampton when the defender outran him in a clear opportunity? He's through on goal. He's through, and the defender comes blazing past him and wins that ball. Do I need to remind you?
Yeah, but you're talking about different scenarios. You just said that
but no,
Ronaldo wouldn't have been able to tap it into
One's
an
a tap
empty
in
net.
and
One's a tap in of an empty net.
But he doesn't have it either way. He doesn't have it. I don't see it. I don't see that killer instinct in Ronaldo anymore. Because against Sheriff, he had chances, no? Did he not have chances?
He did.
There you go.
He scored a penalty, which is essentially a tap in from 12 yards.
They were not tap-ins, but nah. For the respect that people are showing him, he doesn't have that level of quality for Manchester United. And I'm sorry, but even me, I've had to accept it. As much as I'm saying it with all this chest, I had to accept it myself because I wanted Ronaldo to play over Martial. You all know this as well. How much I disliked I started in Martial out. But what can you do when the kid comes on and scores 2 goals and always makes it look like that he's an addition to the squad? Do I not have to accept it? Yes, I do. And so do all these Ronaldo people.
Well, and ultimately, I suppose you could argue that somewhat it doesn't really matter what we think. It matters what Erik ten Hag thinks, doesn't it? If Erik ten Hag believes that Anthony Martial is his starting striker over Cristiano Ronaldo, take it with him. Take it with him. Go, and you're backing Martial over Ronaldo. He's the guy that makes the calls, and he's the guy that made the call yesterday. And to Marcel's point, it somewhat works. He got a couple of goals. Red Baron says, you see a super chat in 1, 2, 3. I am waiting for that one, to be fair. It's a big Ronaldo fan. M. Sati says, why would Ronaldo keep Morata quiet? I think that's directed to you, Faz.
Yeah, well, he scored the hat-trick against Spain a few years ago. And in this game, if you ask me, Portugal had a better organized squad because of the players, how Dalot, how Bruno, how all of their players were playing. You would have expected Portugal to win that game and Ronaldo to be that person to take Portugal across the finish line, and he couldn't. And again, that game he had numerous chances. Morata did as well, but in the end, who came out on top? And Spain's front three barely play minutes as well. By the way, let's not forget, Luis Enrique's got that headache as well. So Ronaldo could have done it then, and it is what it is. It's in front of you.
Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Remember, you can vote for us in the Football Content Awards. We're up for awards in 3 categories, so be sure to vote for us. You can do so by clicking the link in the video descriptions, and also it's the pinned comment in the live chat as well. A couple other super chats here. Billy Jones says, your manager sticking with a winning team is such a flawed mindset. Once things go south, it's hard to call upon people you don't trust then. I somewhat disagree there, Billy. I think that's really easy to say in hindsight. And this is kind of my point today, to not panic too much, because, myself, personally, I'll come to you in a second, Marcel, that when I saw that team announced yesterday,
that's the right team.
I think the majority of people were like, good. We were happy that Rashford was back fit because that team was winning games. Is it such a flawed mindset to stick with a winning side?
No way. And just to add on that, I think that was the right team. I think that was even having Scott McTominay in over Casemiro. I thought that was the right thing to do, guys. I'll be so honest. Scott's been playing well. I even think you should start Scott in Everton's game, and that you should be playing Casemiro again. Yes, I think you should start Scott again and put them out there and ask a question of these players. Do you have the character to turn over that Premier League performance that you've just put in? And it's away from home again in a similar kind of style of conditions. Everton's are not nice ground to play at as well. So it's going to be and they're going to come out fighting and pressing. So I want to see what the likes of Malacia, the likes of Dalot, if they can change around that performance. Anthony didn't. Again, Mina was right. I didn't see Anthony at all. Even for the first 20 minutes, he was shocking. He wasn't comfortable in the predicament that he was in, Anthony. And he's a new player, but he ends up scoring a worldie, by the way. It's an absolute worldie that he scores. But that was not the wrong team, guys. These players just have a type. And sometimes, and by the way, Pep in his first season finished 3rd. Klopp in his first season finished 6th. And they had poor results trying to embark on a style of football. Yes, they stuck to the principles. I think that's the only difference. But I want to look at his portfolio so far of 6 or 7 games. He's had to adapt his style. He hasn't been adamant on his style of football. He just doesn't have the goalkeeper for it. He just doesn't have enough of the centre backs for it. So he's had to alter his style a bit more. I was expecting on the football on the halfway line, where it's a bit low block now. We're trying to secure points. That's where our squad is, guys. That's why this is going to take a long process, because he's already had to adapt his style of football. It's like a mixture of volleyball in there and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think that was the right play. Going forward now, he maybe has to make a few more adjustments to the front line. Martial has to come in. Rashford maybe comes and replaces Sancho, because Sancho's not really looking great right now. Yes, he's scoring at times and it's been here and there, but I would rather put Anthony. He's trusts Anthony on that right. So you maybe move Sancho out and have a man that wants to break lines and Rashford. Sorry, I'm lagging. I'm seeing people lagging.
Yeah, Marcel's. Someone put in the chat that your internet can't handle your waffling, apparently. Let's get to a couple of super chats, and I'll come to you, Mina. Manu Winner says Ronaldo is either raw. We are winning the league. There's a lot of winning the league stuff. I think we know where this one might go. Biggest CR7 fan says we win as a team, lose as a team. Why is the media isolating CR7 and Casemiro when the team loses? Let's progress as a team and move away from individuals. You know what? I understand. To be fair, I think that's probably fair. To your point there, I said it earlier on. I found it bizarre that like Ronaldo was the topic of conversation. I thought, as a collective, we were poor. You can single out players, but I think everyone, to a man, was pretty poor yesterday. So I agree with you somewhat that the focus on Ronaldo was odd. Danny Moore says, unlucky loss. We can still make Europa soon. And Vinny says, momentum interrupted by international break for me. You could argue that, but also you could say that that City had the same situation too. And Billy says 80 million to bench Casemiro is a bad deal. No, Mina, that is what I was going to ask you. Is that Marcel says that he thinks McTominay is going to start against Everton next Sunday. Do you think now that we've had this bad result, it's the bad result that's going to take McTominay out of the side and Casemiro in?
I don't know, because I think Ten Hag will probably still stick with what he knows best. But I absolutely think Casemiro should have started against Manchester City. Bear in mind that Rodri was out. I think, obviously, Ten Hag probably didn't know that until the lineups came out. But in a game where we need to break down the opposition's attacks comfortably, there's no better man in our squad than Casemiro. And Casemiro just simply has not been given that chance in the Premier League since he's joined. He's had a few minutes here, some Europa League time, but he needs time in the Premier. Like, one thing that I've realized with the Casemiro deal, and I can compare it to the Antony deal, because the Antony deal, Erik Ten Hag was going all out to get it done. I do think that Casemiro may have been a board signing. I'm not too sure if it was someone that Ten Hag really wanted to bring in, but the fact that he's not been integrated into the starting lineup immediately, and Antony straight went into the starting lineup against Arsenal, kind of solidified that for me. I would have thought in a big game, especially against Manchester City, we would have started with Casemiro. I don't want to hear, oh yeah, Scott McTominay has been playing good games. He has been playing good games, but he had a disaster class against Manchester City. They walked all over him. Maybe he could have played. Erik Ten Hag could have played it safe and gone with Scott McTominay and Casemiro. But then what happens with Eriksen? What happens with Bruno Fernandes, etc.? Then, it kind of messes up the whole formation. I personally think Casemiro deserves to get a chance. He's a 5-time Champions League winner for a reason. He was playing in a midfield with Modric and Kroos, and he actually was causing problems for Man City the last time Real Madrid played them in the Champions League. So I genuinely don't know why he didn't play. I don't see why he shouldn't start playing. I think on the weekend, if we did go with Scott McTominay, I would assume it's because Casemiro will get minutes in the Europa League, but he definitely needs some time. Like, you can't be saying, oh, he needs time to adapt to the Premier League and then just be giving him measly minutes every so often. It's just not fair.
On Casemiro, Ten Hag had to say, quote, on the day we signed him, we started to win. The team was doing well. It's not against Casemiro, it's for Scott McTominay. I'm sure he will be important for us in the short term. He will find himself in the team, but he has to come in a natural way. Where do you sit on the Casemiro-McTominay situation, Faz? Do you think now, because, again, McTominay was basically having the space in the team because we were winning games and he was playing well, it wasn't sort of player favorite situation, but now is the time for Casemiro to come in. And it must be pointed out as well, when Casemiro has come on, has he really, lit the games up? Have we seen, good positive signs from him? Where do you sit on it?
I think against Sheriff, we saw Casemiro. Well, I saw anyways. I don't know what you guys saw, but he came on and the first 3 passes he tried to make, he gave the ball away. And that's against Sheriff. And those type of things are not acceptable in Ten Hag's book, I'm sure. But now that McTominay's gone and he's not had a good game against Man City, Ten Hag will also look at that and think, you know what, maybe it's time to start playing Casemiro a bit more. And these are headaches that Ten Hag needs to be dealing with. These are exact decisions that he needs to be making. He went with a winning team, and I absolutely do not blame him for that. I absolutely do not blame him for sticking with the players that kept getting him wins after that Brighton and Brentford loss. And he took that risk, and it's fine. That's okay. It happens. What I do expect, though, for him is to learn. for him is to adapt. And now he can say, well, McTominay, you were supposed to do this. You could have done this, whatever. You didn't. Well, okay, Casemiro, here you go. Here's your chance. And that's exactly how things are supposed to happen. When a player doesn't perform in a particular game, you have the other option and you go with the other player. So I'm expecting and hoping to see Casemiro in the next few games to see what he can add, because clearly McTominay didn't come through this game.
That's as far as I think it can go, though, Owen and Faz and everyone, guys, and Mina. I just like, how did we not like? We should have kept that team. Like, the best thing we could have done is maybe put 2 in there and been really pragmatic. So you put Casemiro and Scott in there, and then you have Bruno up top or Eriksen. But he done the right thing. It's just that he was naive. We should have maybe been really low block, difficult to beat. I was saying to Flex beforehand, I believe we can get a result out of this, but it's going to be a combination of Rocket Ralph pressing, Ollie ball, low block, and a bit of good connective play. Sorry, my door's gone. A good connective play as well. So
I just want to say though, I just want to say though, a conversation. Casemiro will be fine. He'll play. McTominay will be fine. He'll play. But a conversation needs to be had about Bruno Fernandes. I can't take it.
That's it.
The rash passing, I can't take it, Owen. I can't take the rash passing. The passing in the middle of nowhere. Not looking where he's passing. I'd much rather play Eriksen in the 8 role than Bruno at this point.
Isn't that what Bruno's done? Haven't we become accustomed to that? I think for me personally, the almost encouraging thing about Bruno this season was that he wasn't doing that. Last season, he was doing that in deeper areas because he'd be chasing the ball so far back. With Eriksen, he does it a little bit further forward. Now, I agree that yesterday, our ball retention, particularly in that first half, was abysmal. Particularly if you're going to play on the counter-attack and your attacks are going to be win the ball back or they make a mistake and you're going to score within sort of 4 passes, switch, couple of passes, goal, your passing has to be dead on and accurate. And I agree yesterday, Bruno's was not dead on and accurate, but then neither was Christian Eriksen's, neither was McTominay's, neither was Antony's, neither was Jadon Sancho. Nobody was. I think when it comes to Bruno, I agree with you, he does that too much, but I'm happy for him to do that in advanced areas as opposed to further back on the pitch where it can be
more dangerous,
quite dangerous. Yeah.
I'm with you, but by God, yesterday, looking at those passes, I was thinking, what are we doing? Because it keeps going back to Ake and Akanji, and they just walk with the ball, and I just couldn't take it. Looking at that again, it just reminded me of the old Bruno again, and I was like, this is not it. A person playing in the number 8 should be confident, calm on the ball, putting his head up, and finding players accurately as well. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. And when you do that, it seems seamless and it the game is played beautifully. You're beating defenders, you're beating runners, you're breaking through the line, and he just doesn't. What I saw is him looking at the ball whilst passing and then looking up where the ball's ended up. And the ball's always ending up in a situation where either Walker or Akanji or Ake are trying to chase that ball and winning that ball. And Rashford just... I'm not saying poor Rashford, by the way. Absolutely not. That's another conversation on its own. My whole agenda against Rashford. But he was chasing. And whether you blame him for maybe not being aggressive enough or not reading that ball early enough, but it just weren't good balls. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but I think what they say on Eriksen, though, as well, Owen. So Eriksen was doing that as well, though. You know what I mean?
I would have preferred to play a McTominay, Eriksen, or McTominay, Casemiro, and Eriksen.
Yeah,
I honestly would have, because I trust Eriksen's passing more than Bruno's.
But Eriksen and Bruno are doing the exact same things. Just and the reason, and like you're saying before, Owen, Bruno's game looked a lot better now because he's not coming into deep areas. He's trusting Eriksen to do that. It's almost like Eriksen's trying to beat RKDB, dictating the tempo, keeping retaining possession in the first 2/3. But they were just that. When I'm telling you, these guys were looking nervous. Eriksen giving away the ball on long passes. That's just unheard of for the last few games. So that's what I'm trying to say. I just feel like it was like these players knew that they were going to get brushed aside, or they just rolled over. They didn't do the basics. They didn't get out to players quick enough, and that's the disappointing side of this loss. But Eriksen, just looked out of his. He even looked out of his depth at times. I'm just looking at him, players running past him, brushing past him. He's not making the right decisions and tactical fouls and all sorts. So both of them played poorly. The whole squad played poorly that game. It was a peculiar one. You just need to get past it, guys. Honestly.
I feel
it
like
was
Bruno's
like
not
that.
part of Ten Hag's plans. I just see it coming. That's
Well,
all.
why would he be the captain then? He's
I
the
don't know.
captain.
I don't know. Honestly, the way he plays right like that yesterday's game, I just don't see it. I just don't see how we can continue like that. I hope he can improve and show better, but yesterday I need to go back and watch the game from a TV perspective.
Super chat from Troy. Troy's back. Says, Marcel, you're on the money. Ten Hag was naive. I see that you guys are all about defending the manager. Ten Hag was poor. Cost us the game. Come on, guys. Let's be fair. I think being fair is not throwing the manager under the bus after 8 games or so. I think you're right. I think almost to Mina's point, maybe you could have played a slightly different side. And maybe you could have played 2 defensive midfielders instead of 1. Hindsight's very easy to say that, because again, going into the game, I think people were relatively happy with that side. I would hope in the future, maybe next time we play City, even if we're on a successful run of games, he doesn't go, oh, this is the winning side, I changed things then, because he would have learned from it. And that would maybe be the hope going forward as well. I do want to talk about Rafael Varane. I'll go to you, Mina, with this one. So obviously he came off yesterday before halftime. There was quite a lot of concern about an ankle injury. Today, it's been reported in L'Equipe, a French-based outlet, that it's not too bad. After examinations, it's emerged that Rafael Varane has a sprain without any ligament damage or bone tears. The doctor diagnosed a classic sprain without in-state being able to give a period of absence, but it shouldn't be long. First of all, how worried were you when you saw him go off? And 2, how, I guess, relieved are you that hopefully it's not going to be out for too long of a period of time?
Yeah, I think even with the international break, I was glad to see that he sat the last game out for France. I was concerned when he picked up that knock, because I think that's when we actually conceded from a corner, where I would have assumed if he was on the pitch, he probably may have picked up Haaland. I think Eriksen ended up picking him up, and then he ran in between. He brushed past Eriksen, and he looked at Dalot and he blew, and Dalot just flew to the side. So I am quite relieved, but again, it just proves that we have to sign another backup centre back. Like, he's going to go to the World Cup with France, and the thought of losing him, he's quite an important player. I know a lot of people have downplayed his relevance in the run of fixtures that we had where we were winning on the bounce. But him and Martinez's partnership is so important for us that if he does pick up an injury that ends up being long term, it could actually hurt us in the back. It could actually hurt us. I can't lie. At first, I thought he might have been faking the injury. It reminded me of.
Before he's like, "Oh, I've had enough of this. I want out."
Yeah. It reminded me of Pogba coming off against Liverpool, and I think we were at Anfield last. He just picked up an injury and just said, "Yeah, f this, I'm done. I can't play." But I'm happy that he's all right, and I guess it'll be a day-to-day kind of thing. But this further proves our point that we are one injury away in any position of everything just falling apart.
No, it's true. I mean, and to be fair, even when he was playing, we fell apart there as well. So, it just goes to show how fragile, I guess, we are. In the last sort of 8 minutes or so, Marcel, I'll come to you first. I do want to have a discussion about the wingers. You brought up Anthony earlier on. Look, scored an unbelievable goal yesterday. You can't argue with that. It'll be one of those ones that it's like goal of the month. The issue I had with Anthony is I found him so frustrating at points yesterday, where he's one-on-one. And you'd have seen this in the stadium. He's one-on-one with the fullback, and you're thinking, right, go on, take him on, go past him, step over, cut back inside, pass. How are we just going to have to get used to that, or does he have the ability, do you think, to sort of take on players that will go past players, or is he not that kind of player?
I think a bit of both, and I think I'm still trying to figure out, Owen, if it's a thing where this is Ten Hag's tactic. When we're in that final third, he wants, a bit of a side-to-side passing, winger to winger, stretch out the opposition's back four, look and try and plug little gaps or look for little gaps in between the defensive line. I don't understand it. Why? Even Sancho does it a lot of the time. He'll kind of like jockey, get the defender to jockey, then cut back. And they do it all the time. I don't understand why. I think it might be a tactic just to be a lot more patient, get players comfortable within the final third with the ball and in the midfield area. So, but going forward, like we just don't see that Ryan Giggs type footballer anymore. Get to the ball and cross it into your forward. It's just It's just not part of the game anymore, and especially our game anyway. So I guess when players are more comfortable, we're going to see a lot more first-time crossing, like Haaland's crossing to Phil Foden, like KDB does all his career. It's always a first-time driven cross in between that 6-yard box. That's where the goals are coming from. That's when you can have wingers and strikers breaking lines, risking everything to get anything on a little touch on the ball. You know, that's what you need from good wingers. But I don't know. He cuts inside and scores a worldie. So there's different elements of the game. He was looking for crosses as well. It's just I'm still confused whether that's a tactic or whether that's just his ability, because he looks like he's got 1v1 ability. Same with Sancho as well. I don't know why they're not using it now. I think it might be a tactic just to build possession, get players into the higher up the pitch.
Faz, what did you make of Sancho and Antony yesterday? Do we actually have any wingers, do you think, that have got that explosive pace that can go past people?
Sancho, what can you do, man? What can I say about Sancho? I don't know. I just have nothing to say.
He's prone to gaining weight. You can say that.
Nothing to say. Nothing to say. Ran a bit yesterday. Fundamental of his job is try and beat a man, and you can't. I'm not having it. I'm not having people saying, well, that's not what he does. He's a system player. He needs people. He did this, that, the other. He looked good when Dallo was overlapping on when he played on the right-hand side, and now when he plays on the left-hand side and Malacia is not overlapping, what then? Because even when he was one-on-one with the fullback, he tries to find Rashford, the pass wasn't that good. So a really, really poor game from him. And I don't know, he just gets his goals more so in the central positions. So maybe there's a conversation to be had that can he play that 10 position? I don't know. Because if and when Martial starts starting, and in my opinion, Rashford will be playing on the left and Antony on the right, what do you do with Sancho then? Because Sancho off the bench isn't really a great player off the bench. He needs starting minutes. He's more effective that way. So we'll have to see then. So is that Sancho can play at 10? I don't know. We'll have to see. In terms of Antony, and plus Sancho's very young. That's one thing that I can just say. Sancho's very young. He's still got a year or so under Ten Hag to see how he brings him out of his shell and how he gets playing. In terms of Antony, it was a bit disappointing, yeah, at times, but he scored an absolutely amazing goal. That goal's going to go in for goal of the month. It has to be in contention for the goal of the month. And more so than anything, I'm very surprised because I've looked at a lot of different content from different people, right? I'm very surprised no one is picking up how the goal actually came about. No one is picking up all this David De Gea slander and all of this, but how David De Gea was passing and distributing the ball before. How the fullbacks, how the defenders, how everybody got involved for that goal. And obviously that finish was top class, world-class finish. But nobody's talking about how the goal came about, because that's exactly the type of football that Ten Hag wants to play. And he came from David De Gea switching the ball as well. So he is trying to do something. Maybe it's taking a bit longer than usual, but you saw it in front of you. But nobody wants to address it.
Probably because at that point, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Sure, but it's a process, no? It is a process that we have to stick by. It is a process that we have to be patient with. But you saw it, how the ball got passed out. We beat the press, and then the ball ended up in Antony. And again, I said it in my post-match. Statman Cam said that he doesn't have a left foot. Well, there you go. You can hold that because he definitely does. And I told you then, you didn't listen to me. And that's something that we'll look forward to in the season, for him to use that left foot more. In terms of him beating 1v1, I have full faith. It's just, it'll come with time. That confidence building will come with time. Nobody can sit here and tell me that he didn't show passion and desire for that pitch yesterday. He definitely did. And since he's came on, he scored against Arsenal. He showed us that he can get involved with his defensive duties as well. So yeah, it's just a matter of time for him to shine.
Super chat from Troy once again says, guys, please listen to Andy Mitten on OTB. Ten Hag cost us the game. Marcel, the worst part of Ten Hag is that he is proving to be a static manager, unable to respond and make changes. Why no early subs, Marcel?
No early subs. I don't know.
He's talking to you. He's talking to you, Marcel. Why no early subs, Marcel?
The players were nervous, man. Tactics go out the window once you're conceding chances in the first 3 minutes of a game. I don't think everyone's looking at each other, not believing in each other. I don't know, man. I can't blame Holy Ten Hag for this. He put the exact same team that I've been playing well for how many weeks now. He could only be more pragmatic, and I don't think that's his nature to be more pragmatic than what he's already being now. So we're in a bit of a predicament here where we just have to trust this process of, and there's going to be, and guys, they are at the top, they're at the pinnacle of football. The best 3 teams in the world right now. City's going to be in there. So we have to understand this. I don't know what else to say to you, Troy. I'm not going to fully blame Ten Hag for this. He's in a learning process. He learned against Brentford and thought, okay, let me change things and be more pragmatic. Let's see how he learns. Let's see how he learns for this game, Troy. For the next game, Troy, against Everton, because at the end of the day, he tried to be as forward thinking as possible, because I feel like the wingers Owen stayed quite a lot of the game. It's not like they were doubling up, helping to defend against Jack Grealish and Foden. They weren't really doubling up. So yeah. Sorry, am I breaking up again?
Owen, you're on mute.
We're all a disgrace this evening. I'm muted. No, we got the majority of it. We got the most of it, Marcel. So that's the important thing. There you go, guys. Excellent show as always. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club by clicking the link in the video description. It's also you can vote for us in the Football Content Awards. It's the pinned comment in the live chat. Also links in the video description for that. Finally, Ray Diaz with a super chat before we wrap things up says, I'm not worried after yesterday. As much as we hate to say it, City is the best team in football with a new striker just learning. They are next level. And there you go. So it pretty much sums up the entire show. Don't panic. It's not time to panic just yet. We're out of it. Have a good one. And we'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.